Hi, I'm Simen, and I'm the CTO of Sanity.io. And I'm really excited today because we are going to release something that I think sets some kind of world record. And I mean, we really love Next.js at Sanity. And we really think that, Web Vitals, page speed, these things are super important. You shouldn't compromise on that. And static builds is the way to go there. But in terms of workflows and creating content, it's also really, really important to have proper feedback. And with Sanity, we are really focusing on this kind of real-time team workflow. You can work together, seeing the same things, collaborating on the same content at the same time. And we have always wanted to be able to have people see what they are creating in real time, also as a team. And today, we're going to pull all of that together finally using Next.js. We will take you through that whole kind of workflow and the things that got into that. And then in the end, you will basically get this record-breaking toolkit that we have put together. So welcome to the stage, Espen Hovlandsdal, the first ever developer to join our company to just work on Sanity, and Knut Melvær, our first developer relations specialist, now head of developer relations. We wanted to just give some background, how the content looks. I think you spend a lot of time in the documentation studio, Knut.
Absolutely. So every week we are improving documentation, and we are using Sanity for that, obviously. And let's actually just open the studio. Here you can see like the running paragraph that you are used to, but also like this block. I can go in here. It has its own rich text field. If you scroll down, we have like a code block, and we can also see here in the kind of like the blocks selector that we have like a lot of custom stuff. And this is not coming out of the box with Sanity. It's me and my team who has defined custom special case content types for documentation.
And then in the other end, as developers, we need that content to be very well formed and easy to work with as we present it.
So even though this may look like one of those rich text editors you see in a lot of different CMSs, if you inspect the underlying data structure here, you can see that it's actually all JSON. So even the text flow with bolding and links and all that is actually just JSON data, which is nice from a couple of different reasons. So for one, copying from a editor like Word and pasting it doesn't result in really weird markup that you haven't allowed. But on top of that, of course, it allows you to reuse this content in basically any setting. So you can generate PDFs from that using whatever spec that is, or you can make websites from it, of course, rendering HTML. But you can also give it to third parties and not having to worry about whether or not it includes HTML and that they have to strip or process in some way. And it makes it really easy to work with from a front-end perspective, since it's all just structured JSON, which follows your schemas.
So like kind of in terms of our initial vision, that was super important for us to have that, the custom types, the intuitive kind of way of authoring those, and then of course having that predictable, clear, strict data set that can be processed as data and is queryable as a database. But then all of that would be for nothing if people then wouldn't craft their content in that form. And very often they would end up using Google Docs or something and then paste the end result to collaborate. And then we are just as far, because then they forget to use all our nice modules because the content was crafted somewhere else. So in order to be able to do that, we spent a lot of time implementing what we call review changes, which is basically like track changes, but for structured data. And I picked this document because I think Rune is rewriting it, Knut.
Yeah, he is. Or how can we know, right? Let's find out. So we have this review changes mode. So if I click this button, we will have this new kind of like sidecar here, where you can see something that reminds you of kind of like Git diffs, if you have seen those. And I can like hover and see that Rune has been working, mostly deleting stuff, it seems, but also maybe adding stuff. So here he has written a couple of new paragraphs and so on, and kind of like fixed a new code example. And yeah, a bunch of stuff happens here.
And this is kind of a live, like if you go to the top now, I think you can see I've fixed the spelling of the title.
Yeah, you did. You made it from a US to a UK spelling, I guess.
That's how you want
Uh,
it, right?
well,
No.
as the documentation editor, I don't want this. I want the US spelling. So I can go here and I can revert this change, and then it's gone.
That's amazing. And that's gone from my screen as well because it's real-time collaborative.
And of course, we also have kind of like the full edit log here, so we can see this interaction we just had here. And I can also go back in time, back to last year when Jørn was importing this article, and kind of like take a peek on what happened there. Let's not mess around too much in this because this is actual production stuff, right? We could because we have these review changes, but yeah, we set up this demo, like a fictive juice co-op e-commerce studio thing, and here we can go into products and we can kind of like look at the review changes happening real time. Of course, Espen and Simon will be able to join me in this document because of presence. And yeah, there's Simon doing stuff. Yeah, he's changing the hotspot and crop, it seems. And this is reflected in this review changes field here. Espen is adding to the title. I feel like a sports commentator now.
But I really enjoy that you can see this kind of real-time edits when you can also have review changes open while we do this. I think that makes it, at least to me, that makes it awesome when I work with someone. I don't have like if I do track changes in Google or something, I have them like on top of each other. I can't kind of properly see what I'm doing. But here you can kind of properly see your text on one side and then the changes separately on the side. If I like fix something here.
Yeah. And what's cool, this is kind of like a localized document. So we have kind of like field translations, which means that kind of like in a JSON structure, this is a nested field. And we can see that review changes also tackles nested field. And even like here Simon added a space within Espen's text, and that's reflected in this review changes presentation. So that's super nice.
That's pretty incredible. I mean, that the kind of level of detail that we can kind of show deeply nested, structured, specific letters, who made them. Like, how did you pull that off, Espen? You and a big team, of course.
Yeah, a big team. Well, there was a lot of different things involved in that. Luckily, we have this backend that's always been real-time and emits these patches that we've been storing in a transaction log. And so to build on that, we needed a way to emit these small patches over time so that we can replay what's changed in a document in a very compressed and small manner. So we made this framework or this tooling called Mendoza, which is a differ for JSON. So as long as you have one document, you can apply patches in both directions from that, so you can like spool back and forth. And because these changes are very like fine-grained, they allows us to track which changes happen to which fields, even in like deep structures. And even on a substring level. So if someone adds like a couple of characters in a text field, you can see who did that and in which transaction. So once we get that downloaded into the studio, like all those patches, we can apply those and see what the resulting document looks like.
So we'll see very soon why this is important, the Mendoza patches in the Next.js stuff we're going to show very soon. But first, I'd really like to see how people can use this kind of framework themselves, like because this was super hard to pull off, but it isn't really hard to use for developers.
Yeah, so these we've made these APIs and these components that you can use to create your own custom diff components, as we call them, which allows you to represent that data structure in a user-friendly or understandable format. So while like a simple text diff is pretty easy to represent, it's presenting just like two geopoints, like a lat and long. That's not really very user-friendly. So as you can see here on the right, we've made a custom component which renders a from and to marker and then an arrow between them. So that's just like one example of how you can make these yourself.
So I find the API you've came up with, like, it's super intuitive and easy, and all the Mendoza stuff is kind of hidden as a deep structure somewhere. I don't know about it.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. So like this was like, I guess, 75% of what we wanted to have, like the real-time collaboration presence, the review changes in real time, the reverting of changes, all of that is enabling this kind of flow, this working together, coordinated. And then one thing is missing is that it's fine and nice that it's nice to author, but I need to understand how my audience is experiencing this. And I find every time we discuss this, you have very wise thoughts on that, Knut.
Right. So yeah, so here we are kind of like seeing how a change will affect the data in a way. And with this map, it's kind of like a preview of that change. And preview here is the keyword. So these forms are nice, JSON structures are nice, but what you as an author and editor is interested in is how that content will actually affect people, right? How it will be consumed and interpreted and so on. And today, that picture, like how content ends up to people, are complex. Before, like in the birth of the web, it was kind of like putting your catalog on the web to be accessible, and the content was just living one place. Today, that's another story. So even within a website, when you use stuff like Next and so on, you are reusing the same content across pages and across templates. So you have a product might be a product page, a product overview that might have like an embed thing in the marketing copy, right? It is also portrayed in a Google search results page or on a preview card on Twitter or Facebook. And you might also integrate with voice assistants. So maybe your product info is represented as speech, right? And so on. And even for people who are consuming the web differently because they can't see colors as you do, or they actually have to listen to the web page through screen readers. All of these different modes are kind of like hard for you as an author to predict when you're just typing in text fields. So we try to accommodate for this in the Sanity Studio through having something called split panes and previews. And we will show you kind of like how that can look like. So let's say that you are running ads. You're running the ad copy from Sanity Studio. It integrates with your ad vendor. And they have kind of like this signage thing integration. So you were able to show your ads in real time in Osaka. So we made this preview here using React components that kind of like gives you an idea of how this content is actually portrayed on this signage thing in Osaka. I wish this was kind of like actually real, because that would be
next year.
Cool, right? But then I can kind of like make adjustments. Should I have this image here? The contrast isn't that great. I should maybe replace it with something darker. Maybe this works. Yeah, that's better, right? And kind of like have an idea of how this will end up. And I can also switch to the magazine. Yeah, it could be better, but it might work like in the actual production of this. So this is
kind of cheating in a sense technically, because this is a React component actually running inside the studio. So it's using the same kind of real-time systems that we have there.
Exactly. Yeah. So that takes us to kind of like what we are here to talk about. And of course, websites are incredibly important still. And we love Next. We are using Next for Sanity.io. And we wanted to have this preview for ourselves for documentation and so on. So let's look at websites previews. So we have these products, and let's say we are closing into a kind of like a product launch. The front enders are just frankly trying to get the pages done, and we are trying to get the content ready, and everything should play together. And the product page is probably important to look at. And what's funny that this is actual Next.js, an actual Next.js site that I'm actually currently also developing. It's not done, so things might break even. And it's nice to kind of be able to stress test this design and this code in real time together with content collaborators. Yeah, here you can see Simen is typing, and the changes are reflected on both sides in like a low latency way. So that's super nice. And there's no rebuilds or anything.
This is kind of the fastest preview turnaround anywhere right now. How did you pull this off, Espen? Because you wrote this this toolkit.
Yeah, we made this toolkit for Next specifically. So it's using the same APIs as you're used to in Next, with get static props and get server side props. And on top of that, we've also made a subscription hook that you can call. So you give it the query, and the same query that you give the get static props. And then it will go and fetch documents that match this and basically run that query on the client side. And that's actually using the same Mendoza patches as we talked about earlier to apply incoming changes to that document. So when you're viewing this in the browser, it's patching those documents and it's giving you the
So this
result
whole thing is just running
query.
in the browser. It doesn't actually use a server at all.
No, it is fully client-side, the subscription part of it. So you can use both you can both render a preview for statically on the server, but you can also then update that in real time, just straight in the browser.
And this can be on your public site because the security systems will hide these previews from anyone kind of eavesdropping.
Yes, so this is just using your authenticated session to Sanity. So if you've allowed your site to talk to our Sanity APIs, then yes, they will just work.
Because I think that's awesome. So you can like statically build it and still have live previews. That's like the best of both worlds, right? So
Absolutely.
I think one thing that I think is amazing about this is it basically, like you said, emulates our like part of our backend. And that means it can see kind of all of the changes. It doesn't like now we just focus on a single document, but it would be cool to see, like, let's say we have a kind of product launch and we're all working on a lot of different parts of the site. Then we could see this, and it will capture, like, if we start now editing like maniacs. If Knut is the product manager now, you can just sit there and kind of have the overview of all of the edits. What's going on?
Someone's changed the image right under me. Yeah, yeah. I can sit here and I can sort of, Simen, you may want to edit that hotspot and crop a bit to have it look better in the product card. Maybe we should change up the price of the. It seems like we have entered the wrong price for the ROI juice. And the image doesn't make sense, and suddenly we have a yoga person. What's this? Actually, this is actually wrong. I don't want the yoga person here, so I will go back. Now I've just reloaded, so I have to bring up the preview again. I didn't agree with this image because it's not of a juice product. So I will just revert this change, and it's back again. Should maybe adjust the cropping, right?
So this is kind of everything coming together. Now we have real-time collaboration, we have the review changes, and we have the live previews, and it's all kind of working together.
And there's suddenly a new product here that also just
I did hemp juice. I think that fits the kind of brand. It's on brand. So this is something that people can just start using now, isn't it, Espen?
Yes, it's available. I think there should be a link down here somewhere. And it's not optimized for larger sites quite yet, but we'll be working on improving that in the future.
So not optimized for larger sites means not optimized, but I think everyone on kind of premium and with reasonable datasets should be fine. And we're also launching another kind of one more thing, we have a system to kind of set up projects like a wizard that just sets up things for you. And we recently got that integrated with Vercel. So now you can deploy a Sanity Studio with kind of the web front end and deployed on Vercel, and it will have the live preview feature. It will have review changes, presence, all of those things. Within minutes, I guess you should be up and running if you go to this URL. And then I think this is one more thing, Knut?
There's a lot of more things. So also, if you go to this URL, you will get a special double quota plan on the free tier. Footnote: you can also add your credit card if you go past those quotas without having to upgrade the plan. So you can stay on the free plan as long as you want.
And actually, this plan will allow you to go past the limit for this Next.js toolkit, which is nice. Okay, I think that's it.
It is.
Thank you.
Right. Thank you. Thank you all for watching.